Please welcome to the stage Chicago Council on Global Affairs President Ivo Daalder.
Welcome to all here in Chicago and all around the world if you are joining us via live stream to the 2018 Chicago Forum on Global Cities. I'm Ivo Daalder, the president of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, and we're so pleased once again to co-host this year's forum with the Financial Times. Gillian Tett, to you and your team, thank you for your partnership. When we started this initiative 4 years ago, we knew there was a need to address the role of cities, especially global cities, and how they play a role in a rapidly changing world. In this urban century, cities are drivers of innovation and economic growth, of social experimentation, of political mobilization, and indeed of so much more. And the forum is where we gather each year for an in-depth discussion of the cutting-edge issues facing our cities and our world. One of the issues of a special prominence this year is the big battle of ideas being waged in cities around the globe, the battle between liberalism and authoritarianism. While the stakes remain national, urban areas have become the main arenas where our governance will be decided. The history of liberalism is, after all, the history of the city. Since at least the Dutch Golden Age, cities have been the locus of liberalism and individualism. Urban centers have experimented with new political and economic freedoms and liberties. From globalization to gay rights, most of the major transformations in our world began as urban novelties, and what worked in cities soon spread beyond them. An urbanizing world, history suggests, ought then to be a liberalizing world. But this history may now be ending. China, Russia, and their emulators are seeking to impose strict authoritarian constraints that pick and choose which urban and liberal features to allow, where, and when. The appeal of authoritarian leaders is clear. Keeping cities under control quells opposition, both the local and national governments. But the resulting stability may in fact be elusive. While most decisions are made by a very few at the very top, the rest stew in resentment or succumb to apathy, with all the attendant damage to economic output, to health, to civic cohesion. Nor are the key problems facing modern cities, security, climate change, pollution, sustainable growth, inequality, addressed in these cities in anything other than through a piecemeal stopgap fashion. But that's not how real cities work. Elsewhere around the world, and even occasionally in Russia and China, in the face of opposition, cities have addressed those problems like they always have, through unconstrained experimentation and the development of best practices. Now, cities should start to be put at the center of not just our urban policies, but our national policies. So far, the US and other governments have seen urban policy to be irrelevant to nation diplomacy. But the political moments now demand otherwise. Over the next 30 years, billions of people will move to cities, driving the development and the future of countries all over the globe, especially in Africa and South Asia. What happens there will drive the future, including the prospect of liberal democracy around the globe. The United States and others will do well to start prioritizing urban policy as central to their foreign policies. Let's start by having the State Department and the European Commission work to promote urban planners, smart cities technology, sustainable buildings and power generation, and advanced mobility and transportation platforms to the growing urban centers of the world. More stakeholders making better decisions in urban areas across the world would let cities continue to be the incubators of prosperity and liberal values, and we will all stand to gain. Cities are problem solvers, and that is the focus of our discussion over the next 3 days. I look forward to learning more from all of you as we put cities first. Come to think of it, that has a nice ring to it. Putting cities first. Before I hand over the podium to Gillian Tett for her welcome, I would like to thank all of those who have made this forum possible. And let me start with the most important people, our sponsors, and thank them all for their incredible support. AbbVie, UL, Grant Thornton, Hyde Hotels Foundation, Kirkland & Ellis, United Airlines, USG, and the foundation support from the Robert R. McCormick Foundation. Thank you for all that you do for us. Thank you, too, to the mayors and the staffs around the world for taking time to share your stories. This morning, along with Mayor Emanuel, we discussed challenges related to inclusive growth and heard solutions from Amsterdam, Bristol, Zurich, Osaka, Hamburg, Bangkok, Austin, to name but a few of the mayors who were with us. The dialogue was fruitful and one step towards making our cities more inclusive for all of our inhabitants. Thank you also to our international partners, from ACI in Medellin to the Center for Livable Cities in Singapore, and from Guangzhou Institute of Urban Innovation to CARI in Buenos Aires. These and other centers of excellence from every corner of the world are at the forefront, working on ideas that we will hear about and workshop here in Chicago. I'd also like to thank our many non-resident fellows who have come from all over the globe. Their work is adding greater depth and greater breadth to the Council's research on cutting-edge urban topics. Thank you to our wonderful local partners, as well, who have opened their doors and their playbooks to all the visitors from metropolises near and far. And consistent with the mission of the Council, we want to thank and hear from our youth. Please welcome our student delegation here on the stage with me. There are 29 students from 29 universities in 22 countries, and they have flown in from Beirut, Hong Kong, Sydney, Cairo, Tel Aviv, Istanbul, and Nairobi. The young come with bold ideas about the cities that are, after all, their future. Don't worry, though, we're more than happy to hear ideas from the not-so-young as well. The Chicago Council was born out of a simple conviction. Cities are actors, bold actors. And that is why tonight I would also want to thank you, our global citizens, who are also local residents, who want to share in this important and dynamic exchange over the next 3 days. Thank you, and now it is my extreme pleasure to introduce Gillian Tett of the Financial Times, our co-host of the evening. Gillian.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that fabulous welcome. And on behalf of the FT, I'd like to echo that very strongly. It's actually the 4th year that we have partnered, and it's been a fabulous conference. It gets better each year, and I'm really looking forward to the debate in the next few days. Now, I was in Washington the last couple of days talking to people about politics, and when I stopped talking to people about the latest dramas around the White House and Donald Trump, and there were a lot of dramas to talk about, we talked a bit about the future of the Democrat Party and who might be the next leader. And a comment I heard several times was, well, maybe we should be looking to a mayor. The reason is that cities, in many ways, provide many of the good news stories in America. They are the place, as you just heard, of great innovation, great creativity, huge economic growth, great dynamism, great experimentation, and above all else, as Ivo's just said, a lot of problem solving and a lot of bipartisan, pragmatic, creative, let's think outside the box, but collaborate and learn from each other types of problem solving. Not always the case. Cities are also a place of great inequality, environmental problems, gridlock. We all know about that. I came from the airport this afternoon. Also a place of great environmental challenges. But cities truly are some of the most fascinating sites of stories today, not just in America, but right across the world. And we're here at the FT because we love great stories. We love stories about innovation economic energy, entrepreneurial activity, and problem solving. So, in that light, we have a supplement in today's FT, all about cities, time to go with the conference. If you haven't read it yet, please do. It's got a lot of fabulously inspiring stories. Even better, we have a special offer, I have to say that, for subscription to the FT. So if any of you don't yet read the FT, I'm sure we can help you to persuade you. We also have a number of fabulous FT journalists here. Andrew Edgecliff-Johnson, Ed Luce, Jamil Andolini, Ed Crooks, Patty Waldmeyer. They're taking part, they'll be wandering around, so do grab them, talk to them, give them some great story ideas. Tell them what you don't like about the FT, what you'd like us to do better. We want to listen. And last but not least, we're very interested in taking part in these debates. When I first came to America about 10 years ago, or first visited, people would sometimes say to me, well, you're the Financial Times of London. Not strictly true. London's a great city. In fact, something you may not know is that these days 30% of our audience is in America. It's actually our biggest single web audience. And we're seeing triple-digit advertising growth in the digital side and 60% print advertising growth compared to this time last year. So America matters a lot to us. But above all else, it's not just America that matters to us, it's the cross-border stories. The stories about how cities are collaborating with each other to foster unusual links. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple of days of debate. I'm really looking forward to being inspired by all the stories that are coming out. And I'd just like to say once again, thank you all for making the journey here to take part in this fascinating exchange of ideas. And I look forward very much to hearing what you all have to say. Thank you.